Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order then. Pledge of Allegiance. Got a flag?
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Guess I'll just sit.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag,
United
United
States
States of America,
and
to the republic,
for which it
stands
stands,
one
one
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty, justice
justice
for
for all.
All
Roll call?
Larry Armstrong,
Here,
John Douglas,
Here.
Michael Howry,
Here.
Michelle Hayes,
Here.
Gene Sensi.
Here.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Larry Armstrong,
yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of March 3rd, 2020?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any
Was it
discussion?
Larry or Mike?
Mike Howery, seconded.
Any discussion? Roll call?
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong.
Abstain.
Vote is 4-0-1.
Board member reports.
I actually have one. I went to the food pickup for the kids on Monday. I went because I wanted to see how it was running, and I also wanted to see what we were giving out, what kind of lunches we were giving. I was very pleased. It moves very smoothly, the line does. It's very organized. You pull up, you roll down your window, you tell the first person standing there how many children you have. They then have you pull up to the next person who brings out a cart with the number of lunches that you requested, puts the lunches on the cart, steps away from the cart. You get out of the car, load your lunches, and leave. They then take the cart back, and someone else comes out with a different cart for the next person. So I was very pleased with how smoothly it runs. Thank you very much, Angela and Kelly, and all of our food service workers. The things were packed nicely. Nothing was smashed. Fruit was fresh. I really think that it's lunches that the kids would like. So I was very pleased to see that.
Great.
Do we have any idea the number of people we're seeing, Angela?
Yes. Actually, I was going to talk about that in my report, so I'll cross that off. This week we sent out about 275, and it's grown exponentially each week. So I think we started right around 100. It was at 2 different buildings, and then go up each week, and we've been at the middle school the last couple weeks, and it's gone up. So I have a feeling next week we'll be up over 300. And related to that, I know I mentioned in my in my newsletter that we will be doing a summer program. It goes until June 30th, the funding. So after that, we don't know if the federal government's going to allow us to go further into this or not.
Daisy, I'm
We'll
sorry.
have to, look at that when we get closer to that date.
Any other board member reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll open the first public participation portion for the evening. This time is available to any member of the public to address the board. We'll recognize any speakers allowing for 5 minutes. State your name and address.
Gretchen, you're unmuted.
Do you want me, I don't have an agenda. I'm not talking on something that's on the agenda, do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to wait till the end of the meeting for the second portion?
Well, there are two portions, so this one's for agenda items only.
Yeah.
So what you have to comment on is the
I'll
end,
wait.
the better portion. So.
Yeah, I'll wait till the second then. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gretchen.
You can get a copy of the agenda off the website if you go to the Board of Education section.
Perfect, thank
There's an
you.
agenda posted.
Okay,
Okay, reports and recommendations of the treasurer.
Thank you. I have two things. The first is to talk a little bit about some of the savings on the budgets, additional costs, and some other things that we're doing to try and manage the finances during this shutdown period. So we're going to save some money. The busing contract, we're still working on the amount, but for, I think it's 43 days, we didn't have service. So there should be some reduction there, along with not putting the buses on the road since March 16th. There'll be some fuel savings there. Our nurses that are at the buildings are hired through Lake Health. All of them have been reassigned, so we shouldn't be paying for nursing services. Some special education services will save on, mostly on the transportation side, because all of the therapists are still providing service. So there's a one-on-one contracted aides. If they're not providing service, we won't be paying for them. And then contracted nurses for our special ed students. If they aren't providing service, we won't be paying for them. The utilities, we immediately reduced the heating and lighting in all the buildings. And we reduced the garbage pickup from 5 days to 1. We did that within a couple of days of the shutdown. We're going to save money on no field trips for classes and sports trips. Spring supplementals, there'll be some savings there. That's still yet to be determined. We don't have but long-term substitutes working in the district. So there'll be savings there, and hasn't been a need for classified substitutes at all since March 17th. And right now we're delaying the hiring of the second mechanic. That will be filled at some point, I'd imagine. But right now, since the buses aren't on the road daily, our one mechanic is able to keep up with everything. Now on the other side, additional cost or lost revenue. The biggest cost is going to be nutrition services. Without serving the number of lunches that they do every day, there's going to be a significant deficit in that fund that is going to have to be covered by the general fund. And I'll talk more about actual numbers next month when I present the 5-year forecast. But right now, that's going to be a significant number. And then our Medicaid reimbursements, it's going to go down. It's not going to go all the way away, but it's going to go down because we can't provide as many services as we've been able to. So we do have one additional revenue item. Workers' compensation has stated they will be giving back to employers $1.6 billion. And we're scheduled to get a refund under that program. And then there's other items that I've been exploring. I've checked with our insurance agent on a couple of things. First is suspending the insurance on the buses. If they're not leaving the lot, there's no reason to have them insured for anything but the minimum. Right now, Sorsa has not allowed this, but our agent's still fighting for us. He's saying that other companies are doing it. I believe, not MetLife, Liberty Mutual is doing it. But when we're trying to get Sorsa to change their stance. And the other thought I had was we have business interruption service. And the answer I got was there was no coverage because there's no physical damage. I offered to do some physical damage, but he said that wouldn't be covered then. So most, if not all, the items, again, will be estimated in time to include in the May forecast. And that will be shared with you early in May for approval at either one of the 2 meetings in May. So before I move on, any questions on that?
Yeah.
Where would you think it's going to fall, Mike? A net zero, or we're going to have some realized savings, or what?
we will probably have some realized savings, which will be good because we don't know what the state is going to do with our revenue next year. We don't know what's going to happen with real estate tax collections next year. Right now, we have zero answers on what's going to happen. So my guess is by the time it's all over, 2 years down the road, we're going to be worse off than we are now, but this will help cushion that blow a little bit.
Do you have any idea if CBS has filed for any small business loans or forgivable loans?
I do not.
No, we don't know. We're
Is it-
anticipating, we gave him a deadline of Friday to tell us what the savings is going to be.
Okay, because I was just wondering, if he applied for loans that would pay his employees through the end of the year, then that's almost like double dipping if we're still paying them. So,
We don't anticipate paying for the drivers.
yeah,
He laid his drivers off, so I don't know if he would qualify for that loan since he's not continuing their wages.
gotcha.
So that's
Can you, Michael?
first item. The second item is we placed a Chromebook order last week for 550 Chromebooks. 480 of those are replacing Chromebooks that are no longer going to be able to be managed, meaning they won't get any updates. And after missing so many updates, they're no longer useful for testing. And we also ordered, 480 to replace those and 70 to replace any that may come back broken or unusable or just flat out not returned to the district. So I hope 70 additional is enough, but we have no way of knowing how many we're going to get back and what shape they're going to be in. And just to give you an idea, because we're placing, order not only for us, but we do it for all the districts we serve, we're able to get better pricing. The state pricing on Chromebooks is about $268 a Chromebook. We paid $208.24, so saved about $60 a Chromebook or almost $33,000 on this order. So we're able to, again, because we order so many, get really good pricing on Chromebooks.
Were any other districts purchasing at the same time, or was that just us?
We purchase individually as districts, but they know that our group is going to purchase a large number every year. We didn't buy a lot last year, but somebody else did, and it gives them a steady flow of Chromebook purchases. The only issue we have is we have no idea when we're going to get them.
I was just going to ask that because we've heard a lot about China and that's the supply chain, right?
Yeah, it's been ordered. We don't have even an estimated delivery date yet. We're hoping since we ordered them now, we'll have them by the start of school.
And the good news is I think teachers are going to want some regular face-to-face interaction and not so much device usage for a little while when we get back, because kids are tired. Gretchen's nodding of the computers.
Mike, what happens with the old Chromebooks? They just go to the Chromebook graveyard or what?
There'll be some options. I talked to Bob about that, and a lot of it's going to depend on what education looks like next year. If there is some remote learning, some in-class learning, we're not going to get rid of them until we're sure we have no use for them. I don't know if Angela's going to want to use them for keyboarding in the lower grades, or, they're not completely useless, but they're not very useful for what we use a Chromebook for today. So when we get them back, actually not many of these went out because we can't manage them remotely. When it comes time to make that decision, we're just going to store them all until we have a final decision. And then if we don't need them, we'll get 15 or 20 bucks a piece for them. Save some parts, sell the rest.
Mike, I wanted to ask about the tech team and how their jobs changed in the last month or so. And, are they facing any particular challenges or how's business going?
They're facing the same challenges a lot of people are. They're trying to do some face-to-face work, but still social distancing. We serve right now, we have tech hours in 5 different districts, 1 tech hours per district. Madison's is on Monday. So each of those districts, including ours, gets 1 or 2 tech people assigned to it. We've been Tom Brady's been handing out Chromebooks still. But it's been a little, I think they're doing okay because they can work remotely. You know, Ashley and Andrew are working on network stuff. Bob has been busy with E-rate. And then we have Tori and Norman and Priyank and the others that are doing as much repair work as they can. The Chromebook repairs are keeping them a little busy. But a few of the guys are hourly, so if there's no work, they're not getting paid, but they understand that's just the way it's going to be. We try and keep them as busy as we can, but if they don't have work, we don't have them working.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
So anything else before I move on?
Pastor Mike, did you have something? I thought you were asking.
Well, earlier, yeah, it was back to the busing, just in terms of contract. So when we negotiate their contract, it isn't a lump sum. It is per days actually utilizing their workers in the bus. So that we're saving money.
It is for transportation services. And we asked the attorney what that means. And he says that means transportation services. If you're not getting those services, you shouldn't be paying. So the easiest way to break that down would be number of days in a school year and what percentage of the contract have they fulfilled. So it's not as easy as saying we stopped halfway through March, we don't pay them, and it'll be more than this, but we don't pay them half of March, all of April, all of May, and all of June. We have to look at, we've been paying them since July 1st for service to be provided over the 2019-2020 school year. So part of it will be based on number of days of service. Part of it will also be based on the people that are still working.
Right.
Jim is still working. We had questions on catastrophic costs. She got answers right back to us. So it's not as easy as saying it's, I forget, 34 days or 43 days out of the contract you didn't fulfill. We're knocking that percentage off. It's going to be something different than that.
Yeah. But it's still a good relationship, no hard feelings on their part. You know, they understand. Is that correct?
Can't say he agrees with me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
You don't have to say too much.
right. It's a work in progress, and
Okay.
he knows how we feel, and he's
Okay.
got Friday to respond.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So we probably have a lot of trips that are not being, used. I mean, all the sports teams that go various places, I assume all of that has been, accounted for when we're having these discussions with the transportation folks.
Well, those are separate bills. So those are billed outside the contract.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
and in my list of things, I've tried to calculate what the value of those trips not being taken is going to be.
Okay. Well, and I know we need to be fair. I mean, we're not using them at the same time. We're expecting them to be available to a certain degree, right?
Right. Yeah, it will be fair to him because he has been fair to us, but 100% payment on the contract is not fair to us.
Makes sense.
Yep, thank you.
I have a quick question. I'm not sure if it's for Mike or Angela. Angela, you and I spoke yesterday about the refund for the trips. I don't know if the
Coming
two
up
of
in
you
my
have-
report.
Oh, it is
talk
coming
about
up in your report.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, we're ready for your recommendations.
Okay, the first is to approve the financial reports for all funds, fund-to-fund transfer report, and the check payment register for March 2020.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michael Howry,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Dean Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. The next is to accept a generous donation of plants from Klein Nurseries to Madison High School and Madison Middle School to be used to create Monarch way stations, and a generous donation of gift cards from an anonymous donor to Madison local schools to be used for Easter baskets.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Jean Sensi,
yes,
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And the final item is one that I talked about at the last board meeting, is to enter into a master service agreement between the Madison local schools and Enterwise Global Technologies LLC, doing business as C-Power to provide demand-side energy management.
I'll move,
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Jean Sensi,
yes,
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Reports of the administrative team.
Okay, obviously the big piece is the buildings are closed through the end of the year. So there's a lot to think about, not only to finish out this year, but to go forward and plan for next year. Some things that we're starting to think about now is, what is a cleaning schedule going to look like? Some companies can get in and do their work because it's very limited scope, like the gym floors. The people that do the gym floors are coming in, I think, in the next couple weeks. We have to come up with a way to get materials, not just Chromebooks back, but there's textbooks out there, and students to pick up some of their belongings, especially at the high school. I think at the elementary level, we have a couple ideas floating around. Teachers have to sort of close out their rooms. And so coordinating that schedule and what that looks like is going to be an interesting challenge. But like I said, the administrators meet as a whole group twice a week, elementary once a week, and secondary once a week. So, you know, we're starting to formulate those plans. You know, we're hoping with the buildings closed, we'll be able to clean some things early, but we also have to get a handle on what those requirements are going to be as far as safe workplace. And they still have not given those out. I think the lieutenant governor and the governor alluded that they are going to start that process or start talking about that process tomorrow in their press conference. So that'll give us some direction of what we're going to need to have a safe workplace and also a safe environment for students, as soon as they start telling us some of those things. We are starting to look regionally to do some bulk purchasing. There's an advisory committee through the ESC. So once we know specifically what some of those things are, if it's masks, if it's, you know, the sanitizing stations, because we're going to need those in classrooms, and hand sanitizer, and possibly even, because there's been such a shortage, toilet paper. I mean, all of those kinds of things, you know, to start back up. But again, we don't have a firm list of what that's going to look like or what we are going to need for sure. So that's a lot of work ahead in the months and days ahead to really cement the materials we need to open up school, and then what does school look like? Because it's not going to look the same as when we left. That we do know. And I see Gretchen closing her eyes and going, I wish it were, you know, because honestly, we're in uncharted territory and we don't know. You know, if they can get a treatment, it might change everything, because we know we're not going to get a vaccine. But our job is to keep students and staff safe. And so there's a lot of work that's going to go into this. Trip refunds, we are waiting for the tour companies to give us the checks so that we can start issuing those refunds. As soon as the checks are in hand, Mike and Tom and I will work to make sure that we get their monies back from DC, Columbus, Niagara Falls, and there's a baseball trip out there. Disney's a different story, and Sean could talk more about that because he's a parent that had a kid on the Disney trip. But that's going through the band patrons and all the different channels through the tour company and Disney. So that one is not ours. The other big question we keep getting is, what are we doing for seniors? Well, again, I was not encouraged by the governor this week thinking that we could have large group gatherings in July. So we're getting a lot of feedback from a variety of sources of things we could do virtually and other ways to honor our seniors. So we're going to start putting that plan together Friday morning, and I should have something to share with you early next week because we want to get this out to parents so that they can start planning too. It's so sad. It really is. And I know Monday night, the kids were just excited to be able to drive through, see the lights, and, you know, sort of mourn that they didn't get to walk out the way they normally walk out, you know. So we're talking about all sorts of things, but as you know, Bill Fisher is the master event planner. So whatever we do is going to be, I'm sure, high quality. And we're talking, I think, about a virtual ceremony, and it's going to take a lot of coordination, and we'll use Joe to help put it together, and we'll still have all the pieces of the ceremony that we typically do. So there'll be, you know, the speeches, there'll be the baby video, you know, we'll have Sean accept the graduates and all of those kinds of things. So your parts will be given out when we have the script ready and tell you what you need to do, okay? The federal government has allocated to states some money to be used for costs incurred during this time. We don't know how much we're going to get yet because the states haven't gotten their share yet. They're applying, it's called the CARES package. And in that, I think the state said it's going to flow through our Title I funds, so it'll be partly formula. So we have no idea the dollar amounts yet, the guidance on it, but you know, chances are, Mike and I talked a little bit earlier today, and Dave, you know, that might be something that if we have to replace Chromebooks that don't come back the way they should, it could be some way that we can use that. You know, giving out the amount of Chromebooks we've given out for instruction, and it's been a good thing because we really haven't had a whole lot of problem with access problems, which is pretty amazing in a district our size. The library had hotspots. People are using those. The one thing we've seen from the initial get-go of giving out the Chromebooks is that if you've got more than one child at home, you need more than one device because trying to share it amongst 3 or 4 kids, one device is not practical while trying to do your own work at home and those kinds of things. So, you know, we'll see what happens when we start to collect these Chromebooks back at the end of May and what we're going to need to do. But I would assume that some of that would be for that and some of the other costs that we can't recoup. So more to come on that. We are working on a community thank you video to the first responders. I think we've got about 50 submissions from kids throughout this week. So I'm hoping that we get a few more so that Joe can put a robust video together for our first responders in the community. And kindergarten registration, in the 1 week since we've put that link out, we're up to 98 kindergarten students for next year. We are going to keep promoting that. If you know somebody that's got a child that's kindergarten ready, please get them to that link and we'll see what happens. That's not a bad number for the first go round without the big big meeting that we do. Because I think out of that, the last couple of years, we've gotten 125. So I think we're not too far off 1 week of doing it virtually. The last thing I want to do is I want to thank the Madison Township Police, the administrators, Chad Butler, for all helping to light up the stadium Monday night. John Dragus, who I talked to at 6 o'clock that morning and said, "What are we going to do?" And he said, "Well, I'll find out what the other ADs are doing." And he turned it around and got it all ready to go for us. The irony was that the power went out at the high school, and I guess there was a disconnected line in the underground. So it wasn't fully lit up Monday night, but it was, lit up to the best of our ability. And that is my report. Questions for me?
Angela, sadly, I think you're right. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything in person for graduation in June. I just want to make the statement that if by some chance the governor does open that up, I hope that we still continue to go that route with the football field.
Yes.
What are we going to do about senior award banquets?
Well, we're talking about all those things, how best to honor them. Yes. But right now, you can't have people together, so you really can't do awards the way that they're typically done. We'll probably do something virtually to announce the scholarship winners and all of that kind of thing. And again, it's a lot of coordination.
Right.
But, so if we get the community people that usually give scholarships to send a recording, we can have Joe help to piece some of that together.
Mm-hmm.
So we had hoped to have a senior weekend, right? That was
Right.
initially, based on the information we had at that time, was a senior weekend where we might be able to have a dance, an awards ceremony, some type of, commencement. But that was an initial thought based on the information we had at the time. We don't really know what to expect at this point. So that's still a good thought, but we don't know if it's going to work out. Is that pretty much it?
That is pretty much it. So I think if we don't have another plan, parents are trying to be very patient, but they've got all sorts of ideas out there, and we don't want to look like we don't have anything for our kids. So I think at this point, we're looking to do something, do this virtual graduation in May, so that at least we can honor these kids and give them a send-off. Not the send-off that we would love to give them, but to give them a send-off.
Angela, do you think it would be something you'd try to do live or something that you would have already done and people could just click on and watch? I think live would just it could go very bad if something went wrong and we lost the feed or something. It would be kind of bad.
Like I said, I have a specific idea, and Fish and I talked about it, and we think it could really work kind of in conjunction with stuff we already put in our ceremony. But I don't want to share too much, because if somebody watches this at home, they're going to hold me to it. So I want to make sure I have the details, but I kind of like the thinking of what we're going to do. If we can get that all worked out, it could be really kind of cool.
Well, and right now we haven't even begun to start to think. We're just trying to figure out how to end the school year and get everything wrapped up, with hopes that we will start a new school year in our buildings, but we don't really know even what that's going to look like next school year yet.
There are so many questions and not enough answers.
Yeah, right.
And I think people want normalcy, and they want hope that things are going to get better. And we have to, as I shared with staff this week, science is going to catch up with this vaccine, or with this virus, in treatment and eventually a vaccine. But until we're there, we have to be 100% you know, very, very careful as to what we do. And, you know, I take the order, and Mike takes the order, and Dave, we're all taking this order very seriously. And every time I talk to people that, for example, want to do some sort of parade, parades gather people, you know? So we don't want to try and gather people who, after being cooped up for 6 weeks, really want to be together. Because then that takes away everything we've tried to do with social distancing. So we're very cautious.
All right.
Dave, do you have anything?
I have no items tonight.
Okay.
All right, so we're ready for the memorandum of understanding, is that correct?
That is to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Madison Education Association beginning March 16th, 2020 through August 16th, 2020 to provide online instruction for students and the ability for teachers to work from home with detailed procedures outlining their responsibilities during this pandemic and school closure.
So this is the adjustment that we're making for online and, you know, at-home instruction. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I was just,
Oh,
I
I'm
was
sorry.
wondering,
Go ahead.
yep. Thank you. So what kind of, I don't want to say necessarily added burden, but are our teachers afforded the same summer vacation rest that they normally are? How are they impacted at all by
The
this?
guidance from ODE has said that you should end your school year on the date you're supposed to end it. So for seniors, their last day is the 13th. It's been on the calendar that way all year. Students' last day is the 26th. Teachers' last day is the 27th. And days will count towards that hours requirement as long as we have a good faith plan of what we're doing, and we do. Our teachers are working very hard to meet the needs of their students.
I just want to ensure that they do get some rest and not feel burdened all summer long with continuous online conversations or something. They're going to need all the support and rest that they can get to handle the coming year.
Now, we typically offer a reading program. I know that some of the teachers do it, I think, on their own, actually, at the library in the summertime. And then we also, do we not have some tutoring that goes on in the summertime normally?
We've had several summer programs the last several years. Until we get some better guidance from ODE as to what those programs could look like, we have not started to plan that process yet.
Okay. And that could in turn show some repercussions next school year with those kids not getting that additional support over the summer.
Correct. So, you know, tomorrow morning on my superintendent's call, they do have somebody from ODE that's going to be there. And we're going to try and have him there every week so that we get some answers to some of these questions, because you're right. Extended school year for our students with special needs. We run an ELL camp usually. And I said, well, if we do that kind of camp this year, it's not going to be, obviously, because I don't even think that things are going to be open yet. You know, but the field trips that they usually do, this is going to be really just to make up the close the gap type things.
Yeah.
So but we've got to have guidance on what that looks like.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Okay, under my recommendations tonight, I only have one item on the personnel motion, and that is to employ Emily Daniels as a long-term substitute teacher from April 15th, 2020 through May 27th, 2020 to perform the duties of Kim Davis.
I'll
I'll
move.
move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, the next item is a resolution regarding the 2019-2020 evaluations. And this resolution is to waive the requirement this year or suspend the requirement this year to conduct teacher and administrative evaluations because it is with a determination that it would be impractical to do so.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? So obviously, it's difficult to evaluate teachers in the classroom when they're not in the classroom. Or is that basically what we're dealing with here?
Right. I mean, and in putting teachers into a brand new environment where most of them have not been online instructors before and saying, go at it. And even though I know our administrators, would be, understanding of that, the rubric doesn't line up to it the way it should. And they're not trained to evaluate that kind of learning. There's just so many things. And then the second thing is to try and finish up those evaluations when you heard me this evening talk about all the things that administratively we have to do to get ready to finish the year, to plan for next year. We're in a lot of meetings. Everybody's, it's a whole different way of working.
Right.
I'd much rather be with kids and at awards programs this time of year.
Sure. So basically, we don't need to, extend any additional stress to staff who are already stressed trying to make it through. So,
Correct.
any other discussion? Roll call?
Sean Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
And the next item, if waiving evaluations wasn't enough sign of appreciation of our wonderful teaching staff, we do have Teacher Appreciation Week coming up. And this year more than ever, I know how much I appreciate everything our teachers have done. So this is our standard resolution declaring Teacher Appreciation Week, May 4th through the 8th. And I wanted to make sure we had it done before that week.
I'll move. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Is there anything special that we could do for the teachers at the beginning of the school year?
Oh,
We just kind
I
of
am-
thanks them for these unique circumstances here, but it would be, I'm just inserting my own self in this, and this would be nice because of this, but at the same time, at the beginning of the school year would be nice to have some sort of resolution, honoring them as well for the job that they've done.
absolutely.
Celebratory to
I'm
kick
sure
off the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, because I already figure if we're not allowed to gather in large groups, I'll be doing 5 different opening day meetings. So,
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I hate to be Debbie Downer, but y'all are assuming that there's going to be an opening for next year.
That is correct.
I am a glass half full woman.
we'll be back. All right, so I think any other discussion? I think we have a motion in a second, right? Is that right, Mike?
Yes.
Roll call?
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All right, in the consent calendar, there are 2 items this evening. A contract with a healthcare process consulting to assist in the managing of the district's Medicaid school program for a 1-year period beginning July 1st, 2020 at a cost of $9,500. And then to approve the programs listed below as found on file in the board office for independent study, beginning with computer programming 2 and ending with current events. And the students are listed underneath them.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Michelle Hayes,
Yes.
Dean Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
Anything additional under the administrative items? Angela, anything additional?
Oh, no, there's nothing. I've got them all.
Okay.
Right, did I miss something?
No, I didn't think so. I was just checking. So we'll now open the second public participation portion for the evening on any item. If you could state your name and address for the board.
Gretchen Bapty, 6686 Stratford Road. I'm the president of the Madison Education Association. I just wanted to thank all of the community, the administrative team, and the board for all of the support. I know that as teachers, this is new, this is different, but we've all really stood together, and our number one goal has just been to keep doing as much as we can for the kids and our community. And I just wanted to thank the community and our administrative team and all of you for the continued support through this. It's very much appreciated.
Great. Thank you very much.
I have worked very closely with a lot of teachers in these past several weeks, you know, with emails and talking to them. And, you know, Gretchen and I talk 2 or 3 times a week. And, you know, the hardest thing that we've all talked about is the lack of closure for our kids. That there's been, you know, that whole end of year ritual. And, you know, when our kids on the last day of school are crying because they missed their teachers for the summer. And we're trying to find ways to safely provide closure for our kids. And we have a great partnership with our teachers and our classified staff. Everybody's been in this together.
So Gretchen, you represent teachers. We appreciate all of our teachers. We appreciate all the staff, everybody from, you know, somebody who's sweeping the floor. I know that's not your group, but I mean, you know, everybody who's doing anything from food service to sweeping the floor to, you know, being a teacher. And, you know, it's a rough time right now. Everybody's trying to figure this out. We appreciate the flexibility from the teachers, appreciate our partnership with the union, and guys are doing a great job, and we really appreciate it. And we want you to know from the board perspective, we absolutely appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gretchen, whether you guys know it or not, I think teachers are just very well suited to rise to this challenge. And in a funny way, you've made it almost look easy. And that's just remarkable, everything you've done in the last few weeks.
It's been new. I get a lot of phone calls. Am I doing this right? Should I be doing something differently, Gretchen? You know, but I think everybody has just, it's, you know, we have, within MEA, we have some supports for the teachers, and I can't tell you, it's been amazing. I expressed to Angela, you know, somebody will post a question and say, how do I do this to do, you know, and 13 people jump in and support, you know, each other. Oh, I tried this and it worked really well. Or if you press this button, you can get it to upload, you know. So it has been great for me to watch colleagues support one another as well through this process, and our aides. I mean, Georgia Murphy has been amazing. She's personally just the aide that I work with, but I know all of them jumping into Google Classrooms, supporting the kids, you know, making phone calls to kids to check in and help them with work. It's been a really big team effort, for sure.
And teachers have been sending notes home, little packet surprises, just to let, you know, their students know how much they miss them. It's pretty special.
As a parent, I've been very happy with the communication from our teachers to my son so that he knows what's expected. He has resources available. He can ask questions when needed, all the right stuff. And so far he's doing well, and I'm appreciative because the teachers are making it so that he can do well. He has to know what is expected in order to do well, and he does. So I've been very pleased. I mean, it's not ideal circumstances. We're dealing with what we're dealing with, but you know, given what we're dealing with, I've been very pleased. I thought it's excellent as a parent. All right. So do we have a need for executive session?
No.
No.
All right. So we have a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are all of our meetings,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm sorry, are all of our current summer meetings as scheduled going to be continuing as scheduled? Will there be any adjustments only because of the uniqueness of the situation?
Well, it seems to me that all of our meetings moving forward are going to be in this format until we get a different protective recommendation from the governor. So, I'm open to discussion about it. The question is, are we meeting? And my thought is we meet according to what the governor recommends. Right now, the governor's recommending we not meet. So this forum is available. So my guess is we should use this until we hear something different. Now, if the governor opens public meetings beyond 10 people back up, then we could probably have a board meeting. But I think we probably need to chat about that. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Me or Mike Howry?
Either one.
Go ahead, Michael.
Question, I'll let him go first.
And the number of meetings will remain as same, constant?
The schedule you're talking?
Same number, but go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, on that one, I would say yes. While they probably would have been more strictly Tuesday nights had we known there wouldn't have been award ceremonies and,
Right.
you know, Angela and I couldn't go to the meetings that we had planned. But I think right now we leave it as scheduled. We have two in May and 2 in June. I know for sure I need the second one in June to pass the appropriations. I'm gonna, God help us, trying to close the year out remotely. But you know, then we go to 1 in July, and hopefully by then we have some more direction on whether we can meet in person or if we continue to go this way. So if you're asking my opinion, I think we keep at least the ones that are scheduled already in May, June, and July.
Sounds good.
Yeah, the one in July, I mean, obviously nobody's really going on vacation anywhere, you know, unless the governor all of a sudden said you can, you know, get away. But I think I can work around that board meeting because July is usually when I go on vacation at some point.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I have a big backyard for you to camp in, Angela.
You have like real facilities and I wouldn't have to be in a tent. I gave that up a long time ago, Michelle, that tent camping.
Yeah, I don't
There
see
is
Angela
such a thing
camping.
as an air mattress.
Glamping.
Michael,
Yes.
when you, before the meeting with the 5-year forecast, maybe we should imbibe a little bit.
I think either before or after we'll have to imbibe a little bit. We'll just make sure we stop the recording.
As board president, I'm saying it's going to be after.
Okay.
All right. So where are we at, Mike? Vaccarello, do we have a motion and a second, and I need to take a vote, or did I not get one yet for,
We have to take a vote, yes.
okay, so we're just voting now to adjourn.
Correct.
All right.
Gene Sensi,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
John Douglas,
Yes.
Michael Howery,
Yes.
Michelle Hayes.
Yes.
Vote is 5-0.
All in favor, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.